Welcome to the Missing Ingredient Podcast with CJ Bruce, where food and beverage founders, operators, and experts share the real strategies behind building successful brands. Let's jump into today's show.
Hey, I'm CJ Bruce, and welcome to the show. This is the podcast for founders and leaders of high-impact food and beverage brands who are serious about scaling. Each episode, I sit down with the people who power the food and beverage industry, brand operators, agencies, vendors, creators, and retailers, to uncomplicate the strategies that take brands from early traction to serious scale. This episode is sponsored by The Missing Ingredient, a food and beverage marketing agency with over a decade in the industry. We take a different approach, starting with your business goals, looking at the full picture, and building a marketing strategy that actually ties back to growth. From content performance marketing to influencer partnerships and AI-powered workflows, we're an extension of your team, not just another vendor. Learn more at themissingingredient.com. Now, for today's guest. Jordan Pilosof is the co-founder of SaltWater, a fast-rising functional hydration brand he launched about 3 years ago with a clear mission: help people hydrate better without all the unnecessary additives found in traditional sports drinks. Coming from a background as a high-level athlete, Jordan saw firsthand how most hydration options were loaded with sugar and designed more for flavor than performance. He recognized a gap in the market: products that claimed electrolytes for taste, but not truly for function. That insight led to SaltWater Co, a clean, simple, functional water designed to actually support hydration without compromising on what people expect from water itself. Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Thank you, CJ. Appreciate the intro. Excited to be here, man.
Yeah, excited to have you here. So let's dive right into the athlete background. So you competed D1 level in wrestling. Obviously lots of, goes into hydration and making weight and all of that. Can you go back to, the moment where you had that hydration experience that really made you feel like something needs to be different here?
Yeah, totally. I've been involved in high level sports all my life. Started competing early days when I was 5 in tennis. Played super high level tennis growing up until about 14. And then kind of got to the point where honestly got burnt out from the sport. Was living in Florida at the time, was at IMG Academies. Just kind of felt that I fell out of love with tennis, fell in love out of competing, took a little break, and then moved back to Toronto, which is where I'm from. And then I always had that kind of in my nature. I loved one-on-one sports. I never really played group sports or team sports, played a bit of rugby, soccer, stuff like that. But yeah, then kind of found wrestling through a buddy of mine, got intro to the sport there, and honestly started late, but got into it competitive in high school, did well at the provincial, then national level. And then that kind of ended up me going to Rutgers for a little bit of time. Walked on there. Super good experience. We're talking about cutting weight, and cutting weight is obviously a huge part of wrestling. Back then I was cutting about, anywhere from 10 to 15 pounds for a meet or for a tournament. So yeah, I had one meet that had to cut just over 10 pounds in under 48 hours, and was, you essentially just, you put yourself in a sauna suit, you go into a sauna, you're on a bike, you're going to practice, you're obviously not eating, not drinking any water for a 2-day time frame, and ended up making weight, which was an insane experience. Felt obviously awful, but yeah, right after weigh-ins we have a little window where we can rehydrate, and I felt myself chugging Pedialytes, Gatorade, your kind of more old school hydration drinks that are on the market. And for something like that, you need something that's a little less saturated, something that's not really going to mess up, obviously, your stomach as well. Went through a ton of that when I was competing. Launched SaltWater a few years ago. It was a COVID project. Been involved in health and wellness for the last 10 years. Went to school for exercise science, and really felt that there was a bit of a gap in the market with hydration. We're not reinventing anything here at all, but wanted to really create a clean and functional water that tasted like water, but offers all the benefits that a hydration beverage would.
Nice. Interesting. And maybe digging into the water piece. I think you've talked about this idea heavily filtered water is essentially dead water, I think is what you called it, and how, can you tell us a little bit about what that means, and maybe how that came into the wanting to build saltwater?
You mean how, like, just in terms of plain water versus other bevs? Or
Yeah, like heavily filtered water, like it's stripped of minerals that your body needs. So you have plain water, and then kind of on the other end of the spectrum, you've got these, hydration links like Pedialyte, Gatorade that you mentioned.
Right.
And so where are you sitting in the middle of that, I guess, and how you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd say saltwater fits right in the middle. Like, we're a functional water with, so we use Himalayan salt as our main ingredient, our hero ingredient. It's milled down to dust. So there's no sediment. There's no aftertaste of salt as well. Like, obviously the biggest question we get asked when we're doing demos, we're doing events, is, does it taste like water? Does it taste like ocean water? And, when people try it, they're pleasantly surprised. We sit right in between that kind of benchmark of, I guess, modern hydration, which is, I think, becoming more and more popular now. I think people are definitely more cautious of what they're putting into their body. Our product is completely additive free besides the Himalayan salt that's in it. And yeah, zero sugar, zero cal. And sodium is the most important thing you need to hydrate, right? It's more important than magnesium, more important than potassium. So Himalayan salt has 84 plus trace minerals in it. It's a really good way to rehydrate. It's a good way to just honestly stay functional and hydrate throughout the day. So, we're right in between the two, but we sit right in that kind of better for you water category. So
Nice. And maybe I want to go to some specifics about like growing the brand and, challenges and wins within that. Before we get there, can you tell listeners just a little bit about, where is the brand today, and, product lineup and distribution? Like, what do things look like today?
yeah, totally. So started launching the brand end of 2022. It was a bit of a COVID project where we were kind of looking at different salts, what kind of, I guess, what sodium we should be intaking. And started it initially online and then slowly got a distributor here in Canada. We're with an awesome group now called John Luke and Neil. They specialize in organic food and bev. Currently listed in Whole Foods here in Canada, which they've been an awesome retailer partner. Summerhill Market, Healthy Planet. They have about 80 stores now here in Canada. Fortino's is another awesome retail partner for us. And the biggest thing for a product like this has just been getting cans in hands, right? With I think such a unique name, and hydration being such a big trend now. The biggest thing for us is cans in hands.
Yeah, it makes total sense. People got to taste it.
Yeah.
So maybe just, in getting people on board with the brand, like is there any misconceptions you have to overcome to get people to, you mentioned a little bit like salt water, and then you don't taste the salt, like is the name of the brand. So it's like one example. Are there any other things that you found in just communicating like the brand and the brand promise, that have been, challenges or that have worked?
Yeah. Look, like, the name itself, I think, will either catch someone off guard or it's going to turn their head, when you see it on the shelf, and they're going to want to try it. So that's why for us, demoing and doing a ton of sampling and being a part of a number of events across the city is so crucial. I think the biggest challenge we've had is honestly, we just need to get more people trying it. Like, we just need more. It's just volume, right? So I think, especially we're a small team. It's myself and a couple other partners and a couple other guys that are involved. But we need to just keep driving this brand. There's tons of waters out there, but I think that we have a unique product here where it tastes amazing when the first time you try it. There's always, you see a customer try it and they're pleasantly surprised. So the biggest thing is just getting more people to try it, because once they do, they fall in love with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you sounds like you're doing, sampling demos, to achieve that. Curious, I know you've done some with, like affiliate marketing, right? Or working with like influencers online and then having that, we call it like a virtual tasting, right? You see somebody taste it and then it maybe makes you inspired to taste it. Like, have you had any luck there? How have you, approached that, or how has that changed?
Yeah, so we've done a bit of influencer marketing, done mostly just kind of organic marketing, so just events, and then kind of real time reaction stuff like that. Haven't touched too much on influencer marketing just yet. I mean, talk to my team all the time about, especially nowadays with what's happening on TikTok Shop. I think that's an incredible way for us to further do things like creator content, influencer marketing, and create a bit more of a buzz. But yeah, like right now, the biggest thing for us is just organic growth and then organic reactions too.
Yep, makes sense. And think about channel strategy. So, talked about, right, direct to consumer, retail. How are you thinking about that, mix today? Is it more focused on retail, given like the relationships you talked about? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think for us, D2C is somewhere where we can obviously control some of our messaging. It's a place where we can eventually create scale, which is such a crucial thing when you're looking at building a water brand. But yeah, the biggest thing for us right now is working on just building retail. So continue to build out our retail channels. I think D2C is an incredible way for brands to grow. I've seen so many brands kill it online on Shopify and different channels like that. But I think I think that'll come. I think right now the focus has been retail, and we're doubling down now on retail and in-store demos and things like that, which have been successful.
Awesome. And then curious about, just challenges in scaling, like, as you've gotten, talked about going retail, but also just, the sourcing, manufacturing, production side of, as you've been kind of growing in that, anything you could share around, challenges or things you've overcome so far?
Yeah. Yeah, we can, yeah, I can talk about production and, getting the right manufacturer first. That's definitely been it's been a challenge, finding a good co-pack partner, someone that can not only create a product, our product that is consistent, tastes great, and the taste profile with the product like ours is so crucial. So we've had a couple different manufacturing partners that we've used. Our water comes from Quebec, so we partner with a great group there. It's from a spring, and then our water is distilled right down to H2O. So we essentially strip all the minerals out, and then we remineralize it with Himalayan salt. And we're partners with a really great artisanal mining group in the Himalayas and Kura, Pakistan. So created a bit of a relationship with them. And we know we're getting authentic and the highest grade pink Himalayan salt possible. So through that, trying to build partners like that has been crucial. And then obviously, there's groups that just don't work for us just based on MOQs. Like we're starting to build this thing, but yeah, I mean, it's just finding partners that we can trust and that are willing to work with us and honestly grow with us. I'd say the biggest thing is meeting, a co-packer that can, just willingness to work with you, because they may have a ton of other partners, and as if you miss deadlines for retailers, then you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, appreciate digging in there.
Yeah,
like their initial reactions, like, yeah, there's a lot to talk about on that side of it.
totally.
Curious with, the product like this and how you think about, scientific functional benefits, versus the kind of how it makes you feel. Obviously taste is a big factor, and just in thinking about, communicating that, from the brand level, like how do you balance those things, or how does that come up for you in communicating the brand?
Like in terms of the educational side of things.
Like education and things that get people, interested and excited about the brand. I mean, you said like the brand name itself is interesting and turns people's heads. and then the functional kind of education side where you're talking about how much sodium do you actually need, you're like the most important minerals, like that's pretty scientific and kind of get in the weeds. So how do you think about those kind of key messages and where they come up for you?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think key messaging for us, we can do a lot of that on socials. Like we're active on our Instagram page. We've done a lot there. I think we can control a bit of that. And then the biggest key messaging again is just meeting people and really just sampling this product. Like our sparkling water currently has been doing really well here in Canada. I think it's selling about like a 2-to-1 compared to our still. We have two SKUs. We have just a still water and then a sparkling. And I think that people find that it's a little more unique. Our carbonation level is a little different paired with the high minerality of the product too. It's really, really awesome. So yeah, I think the educational side of things, we can do that through things like Instagram and working with different people online or, influencers. But I mean, the biggest part is, it has to come from the founder. I think people are going to listen to that the most, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I think we've seen, as the different channels grow, like think about where do we communicate what aspects, like once you've tasted it, then you can get into maybe some of the deeper, either scientific or kind of brand storytelling pieces, which I do want to touch on like the cause marketing side. I know you guys are like 1% for the planet. And how does that integrate into what you do? And how do you think about the kind of giving back piece as a part of
Yeah.
your brand?
Yeah. So, look, we actually started the brand with a square bottle. It was a PET bottle. So when we first launched saltwater, we wanted to, we wanted to mimic high end brands. I see this brand as a high end premium product, and that's where we position it. So initially, we were a square bottle, similar to what Fiji is, and we moved away from that in the last year and a half or so, moving to the sleek 355 ml cans, and then partnering with 1% for the planet. So every percent of our revenue goes to ocean cleanups and preservatives. Like that's super important that we're giving back and making sure that we're doing our part there. But I think the shift of going, initially from the PET bottle, the 500 ml to our current aluminum cans have been also just, it's an easier way to convey this to the consumer as well. I think people nowadays, obviously, they're super careful about what they're putting in their body. No one wants to be drinking a product that is, has the potential of there being, microplastics or leaching or things like that, right? So, that was a big shift for us. And I think it definitely evolved the brand and allowed us to go in a lot of different and better directions too.
Yeah, that's great. I'm curious, I guess, just talking about, we've touched on competitors in the space a little bit. It's definitely, there's a lot going on in the space, a crowded space, and both from, legacy players as well as, startups. And so just talk a little bit about that, is like being in a space that's that competitive and how you think about differentiating and cutting through.
Yeah, I think our product, kind of speaks for itself. Like we use 100 milligrams of Himalayan salt per can, and I've seen, I look at a lot of the other competitors. If I can, just to name a couple of different brands that people would know, you think of like Essentia or Smart Water, which are obviously those are huge brands that are now owned by billion-dollar companies like Coca-Cola, Nestle, et cetera. That they the way they market their brand, they have electrolytes for taste, whereas our brand is electrolytes for function. They have anywhere from 5 to 10 milligrams of sodium in their products, whereas we remineralize it and we add 100 milligrams, which is like a perfect amount to hydrate, whether it's after a workout, just first thing in the morning, once you've woken up, when you need to rehydrate at one of the most important times. So I think we set ourselves apart a bit by really making sure that we're a salt company first and then we're water second, right? I think that's what we've kind of always talked about is, we're the biggest thing is that where we get our minerals from, also having 84 plus trace minerals in Himalayan salt. I think it's super crucial that you're using something like this on a daily basis. I think people obviously get now that plain water just doesn't cut it, doesn't hydrate you enough. It doesn't do enough for you. And I mean, look, you can have up to 2,000 milligrams of salt a day. So like a product like this, it's just, the way we talk about it is it's like putting in premium fuel in your car. You're always, you're staying hydrated that way instead of putting shitty fuel in your car. Right. So it's like you're getting the most out of it in that sense.
Yeah, that's great. And then think about, brings another question for me around just consumer segmentation. Like there's also within this space, right, there are people focusing very much on the athlete side, or, there's like everyday hydration, or like you said, something that's just a tasty drink. And I know it's early for you, but have you seen any, different either use cases or customer segments that seem to be resonating more with the product at this stage?
For use case, you mean like we're
Yeah, like time of day, or like people, using it post workout, or like you said, like the kind of everyday hydration, or market segments. Like again, like you think about something like use a big brand like Gatorade of, you see the athletes that are the most, famous athletes drinking the product and trying to make an association around that. But then a lot of, other hydration that can be coming in different ways. And have you seen anything around that yet?
Yeah. I think, like the way we position our product is that it's functional, right? Like you can have this throughout the day. In terms of use cases, it's easy to say you should have this first thing in the morning, midday, and then before you go to bed, right? But I think there's a lot of other use cases because there's zero sugar, there's zero, there's no anti-caking agents in our product too, right? So it's ultra clean, and it just tastes like water. It tastes like clean water. The way that we formulated it as well is that you can really have this all day, and you're just you're remineralizing, you're rehydrating yourself, because people don't even think about it. You don't have to go to a workout class to be drinking something like a Gatorade or a hydration beverage. Like you need something all throughout the day. So if you're at the office, like this is a perfect thing to be having and sipping on, right? So there's many use cases with saltwater. I think that's why I think it is such a effective and great product as well.
Awesome. I wanted to shift a little bit and talk about AI. So AI obviously is, affecting many aspects of business, both, internally, and also how consumers are, consuming content or finding new brands and products. And so just curious, kind of open question for you, and how has AI impacted or affected the business, or how are you guys thinking about it or utilizing it?
Yeah. It's interesting. Look, I think AI it's becoming more utilized with I think any business now, any sector, beyond CPG. But I think, in consumer packaged brands specifically, I think we're going to see a big shift with, with how they're also utilizing it for things like with influencers, right? I think that's going to be an area where it's cut out as well. They're utilizing a lot of areas that you can just use AI for influencers, content creation. I think there's going to be a lot of it to do with faster creative testing as well. Things are just going to get more automated too, right? So I think things are going to become more and more efficient. So on the other side of things, where we're looking at tracking and inventory and more on the operational and honestly boring side of the business, I think AI is going to be a huge player in that too. But yeah, we're still kind of sticking to, I guess, more of the old school guerrilla marketing and, getting cans in hands, but AI is going to be a huge tool. And I think it's a good thing for beverage brands as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's an interesting, mix you touched on, where the cans in hands, I don't think is going to go away. The people ultimately will be consuming the product. They need to try the product. And we've even started to see things where it's, going more in that direction of, in real life experiences that people can have and know are, real human experiences. And obviously, actually tasting the product is a piece of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I wanted to ask if you have any other brands, so outside of your brand, that you feel like are doing great work in food and beverage that you think deserve some more attention.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, right? Like, there's a brand that I think is doing an awesome job right now called Cadence. They're doing incredible things on the hydration side, and more so on the modern hydration side too. They're a little more on they focus on the running community and marathon runners and stuff like that. But yeah, they're a really interesting and great brand that have done a good job marketing and building their message as well. So it's great for brands like SaltWater because they definitely touch on the benefits of salt. A brand that people will know that I think is interesting too is David Protein, right? With their clean ingredients, higher protein levels. I think that's another brand that's, blowing up, and more people are looking at labels these days, right? So I think people really want to make sure what they're consuming is they know exactly where it's coming from. And I think the more brands that have like a no BS approach, I think the more consumers can resonate with it, and then they're going to end up picking it up off the shelves, right?
Yeah. Yeah, those are two. I don't know Cadence. I'll have to check them out after this.
Yeah.
So cool. I've got one last question before I go there. I want to just point people to where they can learn more. So point people to your website at drinksaltwater.co. And is there anywhere else that you want to point people to connect with the brand or connect with you?
Yeah. Check us out on Instagram, drink.saltwater. We're active there. For anyone that's, that might be in the Toronto area, we're taking part in a bunch of events this summer. We partnered with an awesome group called Unbounded. So they specialize in biohacking and cold plunge therapy, obviously sauna, cold plunge. So that's another huge area that we collab with awesome groups in Toronto. So yeah, if you see us in stores, like I said, Whole Foods, Healthy Planet, means a lot. Support the brand, buy a can. Feel free to reach out on Instagram to just connect with me as well. And if you want to learn more, that's the best way to do it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. So my last question was just about, it takes a lot to build a brand, obviously over time. And I'm curious if there's any person or partner or resource that really has helped you grow, that you want to give a shout out to. And so it could be a mentor, it could be a group, who's really helped you get to this stage.
Yeah. Look, we've got new partners now as well, actually. So yeah, my new partner is George Scorsis. He's been a huge help on the ops side and helping things, smoothing out on that front. And then my other partner, Brad Pyatt, he's a vet in the business. He launched True Bar, launched Muscle Farm, which is a awesome supplement company. So yeah, I think the biggest thing, I'm new to this industry. I'm new to this game, and it's finding good partners, mentors is so crucial. So yeah, definitely feel like I'm at that point now where finding the right people to work with is key in scaling a business like SaltWater Co. So I'd say those are two guys that I definitely want to shout out.
Awesome. Appreciate it. All right. We've been talking to Jordan Pilosof, co-founder of SaltWater Co. Please be sure to check him out at drinksaltwater.co. And you can also follow him on Instagram. And Jordan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, CJ. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Missing Ingredient podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.